all my lovelies. We are here today to learn how to make frozen mochas. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is how to make the mix as well as make the drink. But on Javaccino Day, the mix will already be made. Alright, so this is kind of a dual purpose demonstration. Frozen mochas are our biggest seller by far. And so those people that are assigned to make frozen mochas have a huge responsibility in Javaccino, because if they get way behind, our revenue bottoms out because students don't have time to wait to make the drink. That's different than when you go into a McDonald's, you might have to wait a minute for your drink. Our customers are accustomed to being handed their drink and getting to class. They're not used to waiting while we make it. So we have to really be on top of our game. Alright, to make the mix will be made 1 to 2 days before Javaccino, just depending on how the schedule goes. And this is very, very easy. Somebody will be making large amounts of espresso, and then it takes espresso, chocolate syrup, and milk, and hazelnut creamer. And I'm going to go get the hazelnut creamer because I forgot to grab that. Okay, I'm back. I have hazelnut creamer now. Alright, so 1 to 2 days before Javaccino, some students will be assigned to make the mix. So one student will be making large quantities of espresso. Other students will be measuring the chocolate syrup, the milk, and the hazelnut creamer. Now when we make this in very large batches. We'll go through 12 gallons of milk worth of mix for our frozen mochas, maybe 8, depending on how busy that Javaccino we're predicting is going to be. So I'm making a very small batch. I'm making a half-gallon batch. You will have a recipe for a full gallon batch. All right, and then you will make that many, many times over. So I need 8 cups of milk. Because a gallon is 16 cups, I'm going to measure out 8 for the mix. What's nice about when you guys make this, you're measuring by the gallon, and so you never have to even use a measuring cup because you're pouring in the entire gallon of milk. Alright? But for the purpose of this demo and not wasting as much food, I'm just making a smaller version of the same recipe. Now you may want to take off this ring or hold it so it doesn't fall into the milk when you're pouring it in. Alright, so I have my 8 cups of milk. Here is my espresso. Now you will be putting in 2 1/4 cups of espresso. I'm putting in 1 1/8 again because I'm making a smaller recipe. And then you will be putting in 2 1/4 cups of chocolate syrup. I am putting in 1 1/8 again because my version of the recipe is smaller. And you guys can make this, in very large batches, and it will go into stock pots to go into the refrigerator to stay cold. And then, whoa, this rubber scraper keeps sliding. You know what? I'm just going to take it out and put it in here. And then for the hazelnut creamer, you will be putting in a cup of hazelnut creamer per batch. I am only putting in a ½ cup because I am making a smaller, scaled down recipe. You want to mix this very well to make sure that chocolate syrup gets well incorporated through the entire milk. The espresso and the hazelnut will mix pretty easily because they're thin, but it takes the chocolate syrup just a little bit longer. So this will be put into large containers and put in the refrigerator until Javaccino. On Javaccino Day, these will be poured into this container, or it could be poured and then stored in the refrigerator, either one. But I'm going to go ahead and pour it in there so that you can see how all of this works. And again, if you pour towards you, you can see where you're going. Now on Javaccino Day, this will be full. And then you will have, more mix to pour in there as it runs out. So we are going to fast forward to Javaccino morning. Now there's different ways of setting this up, and you may find a way that's more efficient, but I'm going to explain to you one way we do this on Javaccino morning. Okay? The tables will be set up, and we will have 2 students on one side of the table and 2 students on this side of the table. Again, you may find a way that works better for you, and feel free to try it. Our goal is efficiency. Being efficient, efficient, efficient. So, one person will be over on that side of the table with 2 blenders, and their job will be to get the blenders, get ice in the blender and get the blenders filled with mix. So, you will have large coolers of ice, And this person in number 1 on these blender containers will fill it with ice to the 24. Now, you may need to adjust that if your blenders are a little bit different. All right, so this person number 1, fills it with ice to the 24, and then you fill it with Mocha mix to cover. Now, your people at station 3 will tell you if the Mocha mix is too thin or too thick, and you can adjust that. But so person number 1 is going to hand it to person number 2. Okay? Person number 2 will be running the blenders, and so they will have 2 blenders going. So they will push the number 2. And I don't know if you can hear me over this, so I'll wait. These are commercial blenders, the same blenders that are used at Jamba Juice. They're meant for large, heavy-duty blending. So there will be 2 blenders here. So while that one's going, person number 2 is getting another blender top from person 1, and they get that blender going. And we usually have 3 of these going, so person number 1 is getting another one ready. When this one's done, they hand it to person number 3. Person number 3 takes it, and they fill it to this line on the cup. You have to be really careful. Sometimes you have to kind of shake this a little bit so it doesn't come out in one big blob. Okay? And all they do is fill cups, fill cups, fill cups. They slide it over here to person 4. Person 4 does whipped cream, chocolate syrup, and a lid. And then they slide it over and start stacking them up. So as a quick review, 1 is getting ice and mix, person 2 is running the blenders and handing it to person 3. Person 3 fills the cups, and again, if it comes out in a big blob and makes a mess, you've got to find a way to get that cleaned up, because every time you set the cup down, it's going to get a mess all over the bottom, and then the customers get it all over their books, their clothes, and their schoolwork. And again, you don't want to go over that line, because if you go over that line, then the whipped cream doesn't fit. And then it oozes out, and we're right back to we have a big mess. They pass this to person 4. Person 4 does whipped cream, chocolate syrup, and a lid, and they start stacking them over there for the servers to grab. Enjoy!